1. 2015 may be the year that Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi enter their decline. This is funnier because in 2025, we've known how much they've won after 2015. But I understand their thought process at the time, to be fair. They were both nearing 30, and Messi was already doing his walking gimmick in the 2014 World Cup, where he lost the final to Germany. One of the funniest parts was the idea that, similar to Cruyff, adapting from a striker to more of a 10, Ronaldo would do the same. Cristiano De Bruyne would have been a sight to see. But it's 2025, and honestly, they might go until 2030. Rating, 0 out of 5. 2. The Copa America in Chile this summer will be Messi's best remaining chance to win something with the Argentina senior team. This actually was a very good take at the time. At that point, he was 0-5 in senior international cups, and he did end up losing that year's Copa as well, which led him to retire from international play for a bit, if you do remember. You had to be there when everyone thought he would never win an international tournament, and the internet was filled with memes about him. Of course, he came back and ended up winning 2 Copas and a World Cup, but that was 6 years after this take, which in between those 6 years, he lost 3 more Copa Americas and 1 World Cup. Rating, 3 out of 5, because they were right for a bit. 3. The most followed international tournament of the year would have been the Women's World Cup. This take was spot on, honestly. Women's soccer was only growing and has kept growing since then, with no Men's World Cup or Euros, and the Copa America being partially split on beIN Sports, which a lot of people didn't have at the time. It was a perfect setting for the Women's World Cup to have a then record 764 million TV viewers. Rating, 5 out of 5. The Africa Cup of Nations being a flop. I feel like this is a bit of Euro bias, but they do have a good point in saying that hosting it every 2 years ruins the product. I would agree, honestly. I would give this one a 3 out of 5. Life to get tougher for Sepp Blatter and FIFA. They couldn't have come up with a more accurate take, honestly. Just 6 months after these predictions, in June 2015, he would resign due to the huge scandal and then be suspended by FIFA for corruption. All of this led to the iconic moment when Blatter was showered with money as a protest of his corruption. Subscribe if you want to see a history of hatred on Sepp Blatter. Rating for this one, easy 5 out of 5. They got it right on the spot. 2016 Euros being good, easy but accurate take. The qualifiers were great and had a bunch of new teams qualify. Plus, this was a tournament where Coach Ronaldo won his first international trophy against France. They really hit it on the mark with the Gareth Bale mention, as he scored in every single group stage game, won the group, and took Wales all the way to the semi-finals. So because they got that prediction right, I definitely would give them a 5 out of 5 instead of just a 4 out of 5. Louis van Gaal to have a bad year. United actually did end up finishing 4th in 2015. In my opinion, that's not that bad. The next year they won the FA Cup, but got fired 2 days after because he was messing up the locker room and targeting Rashford. I wouldn't give this a 5 out of 5, but a 4 out of 5 because they were right just slightly early. Arsene Wenger retiring in 2015. Not a bad take, as Arsenal were definitely on the end of their Premier League peak, and many people thought Wenger was going to retire at the time, but he didn't retire until 2018, so 0 out of 5. 9. The big clubs will spend even more. Little did they know. They did say a big club would implode, and I guess you can count the dark days of Barca as that, especially with what went on in the world. But just 2 years after this article, the record-setting Neymar transfer to PSG would happen, and now in 2025, you have clubs like City and Chelsea, and now Liverpool, plus more, who have the unlimited money glitch. So I would definitely have to rate this a 5 out of 5. 10. La Liga match fixing. I mean, we already know how referees love Real and Barca, so this is just like tradition. There have always been a lot of allegations for years, but I didn't see any direct punishments this year as a result of La Liga match fixing. So they probably were right, but not legally officially. So I'll give them a 3 out of 5. Now for Bleacher Report. Manuel Neuer wins the 2014 Ballon d'Or after his stellar year. As a Bayern fan, I would have loved this. He had a Bayern double, the World Cup Golden Glove, but sadly the Ballon d'Or is basically for strikers only. He ended up coming in third to you-know-who. Rating, 0 out of 5. After 33 years, Ghana wins the African Cup of Nations. They were so close with this one. Ghana had an amazing team that year, but ended up coming in second as they lost the finals to Ivory Coast in penalties. I would give them a 0 out of 5 because they were wrong, but the fact that they came in second place, I'll give them 1 out of 5. South Korea wins their first ever Asian Cup in over 50 years. In the last 2 tournaments, they ended up in 3rd place, but sadly in this tournament as well, they lost on a 105th minute extra time goal to, just like Ghana, finish in 2nd place. Another 1 out of 5. Enrique doesn't make it past March for Barca, and for City to eliminate Barca from the Champions League. Well, Barcelona proceeded to win the treble this year, arguably one of the best seasons in their entire club's history. I don't know what it is with Bleacher Report, but they couldn't be more wrong. If I could rate this a -1 out of 5, I would've, but for now, Bleacher Report is 0-4. Marseille winning Ligue 1. They were actually first at the time of these predictions, but then they proceeded to only win 2 out of their next 8 games to be 3rd place before the end of February. Simply put, they did not win that year. Rating, 0 out of 5, kinda like Bleacher Report's. USA Women World Cup win. At the time, they were one of, if not the best women's soccer team in the world, and they showed it the entire tournament by only allowing 1 goal until the final. I would give this a 5 out of 5 because they were correct, but this was an easy prediction, so I'd only give it a 4 out of 5. Odegaard choosing Arsenal. This was a good prediction, as if you don't remember, almost every single top club wanted Odegaard at the time. But he went to Madrid as a teenager and didn't do well. Remind you of someone? But similar to Endrick, he had to compete with Modric and Kroos at the time, so he never really had a chance. He didn't actually go to Arsenal until he was loaned to several other teams and landed there 6 years later in 2021. I will give this a 4 out of 5 because he ended up choosing Real, not Arsenal at the time, but predicting Arsenal half a decade early is kind of insane. Drogba winning another Champions League. This is hilarious because he was pushing 40 in 2015, but obviously Chelsea didn't win the Champions League. He was way past his peak at the time, so I don't even know why they thought this, to be honest. Rating, 0 out of 5. Portugal winning the Under-21 Euros. For the 3rd time in this article, Bleacher Report chose the runner-up in their prediction, as Portugal lost to Sweden in penalty kicks 4-3. 1 out of 5 because obviously they got the runner-up again. Arsenal to miss out on the Champions League for the first time in 17 years. At the time of this article, Arsenal were actually 6th place in the Premier League, but they did end up climbing the charts to finish 3rd and qualify for the Champions League. Another wrong take for Bleacher Report, 0 out of 5 rating for Bleacher Report. Next, Van Gaal winning the Premier League with United. While Arsenal were 6th at the time, United was a much better 3rd when this article was released. The problem was that they were 7 points behind City and 10 points behind Chelsea. They ended up dropping to 4th place by the end of the year to finish 9 points behind City and 12 points behind Chelsea. Definitely not winning the league. Rating, 0 out of 5. Real winning the league while Atletico win the Copa del Rey. Remember that Barca treble that I mentioned earlier? Yeah, Real and Atletico won neither trophy. Barca won both. But to be fair to both of them, that Barca team was ridiculous. Still have to give them 0 out of 5. Chile winning the Copa America on home soil. They cooked Argentina again. That era of Chile was elite with Alexis Sanchez, Vidal, and Claudio Bravo. They dominated Argentina and won 4-1 in penalties. Easy, 5 out of 5. Sao Paulo wins the Copa Libertadores and Rogerio Ceni retires. Ceni did retire at the end of the year as promised, but Sao Paulo lost immediately in the round of 16. Rating, 0 out of 5. Last but not least, we have the LA Galaxy to win their 4th MLS Cup in 5 years. Similar to Sao Paulo, they qualified and lost in the first knockout round. Oh, look who was in the MLS already by October of 2015. Rating, 0 out of 5. Basically, ESPN knows ball and Bleacher Report definitely doesn't. Let me know if you want to see a part 2 or a different year. This is Gade Films. Like, comment, subscribe, and stay fantastic.